Hey everyone and welcome back. You know it's really got people buzzing lately? Bitcoin. Yeah, and especially what its price might do in the future. We're not just going to cover the Bitcoin basics. We're going to explore where it might be headed, the good and the bad, and maybe even some stuff that'll totally blow your mind.
I'm all for that. You know, what I always find fascinating is that Bitcoin, it's not just another cryptocurrency. It often sets the tone for the whole market.
Yeah, like that whole bellwether thing people talk about.
Exactly. Its movements can signal shifts in the whole crypto landscape.
That's so true. Like remember when Ethereum switched to that more energy efficient system?
You mean the merge?
Yeah, the merge.
Yeah.
That really made some people question Bitcoin's energy use, which, well, a lot of people see that as a potential issue.
For sure. That's a big one. And on the flip side, there was all that excitement when those huge companies like Tesla and Starbucks started accepting Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, that was huge. Each time one of those announcements dropped, it felt like Bitcoin's price went through the roof. I guess more people see it as a legitimate form of payment when that happens.
Absolutely. It's like a real-world vote of confidence.
Totally. But I'm kind of curious about all this real-world stuff that goes on beyond crypto news. Does any of that actually affect Bitcoin's price? Like, what about the pandemic? Did that actually boost Bitcoin like some people say?
Oh, absolutely. It really threw a wrench into the global economy, right? And
Yeah.
that uncertainty. Well, a lot of investors started seeing Bitcoin as a safe haven asset, kind of like a digital version of gold.
I never thought of it that way.
It's true. So yeah, keeping an eye on global events and economic trends is absolutely crucial. And let's not forget about the environmental concerns either. You know, those debates around Bitcoin's energy consumption.
Yeah, the whole proof of work thing.
Right, exactly. Those debates can definitely influence how investors feel, and that ultimately impacts the market too.
For sure. Actually, can you remind me again how proof of work works? I know it's like the backbone of Bitcoin.
Sure. So basically, it involves computers all over the world solving these really complex math puzzles to verify transactions. The first one to crack the code gets to add the next block to the blockchain, the official record. It's pretty clever, but the downside is that all those computers crunching numbers use a ton of energy.
Got it. So that's where those environmental criticisms come in.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's shift gears for a sec and talk about something that's been huge for everyday investors like you and me, Bitcoin ETFs. They've made getting into Bitcoin so much easier.
So true. ETFs, or exchange-traded funds, let people invest in Bitcoin without needing to deal with the actual coins. It's opened up the market to a whole new wave of investors, and that increased demand has really impacted the price.
Yeah, it's made a big difference. And you know what else has a big impact on the price? Good old FOMO. That fear of missing out. Remember that crazy climb to $93,000?
Oh, yeah.
People saw Bitcoin skyrocketing, and they didn't want to be left behind.
It's a powerful force. And that's where things can get a little risky, you know? While ETFs have made Bitcoin more accessible, that ease of access can also lead to those FOMO-driven bubbles. And we all know what happens to bubbles.
Yep.
They eventually burst.
And then we see those corrections in the market.
Exactly.
I guess it's a good reminder that while Bitcoin has this amazing potential, it definitely comes with its own set of risks. But hey, as they say,
Yeah.
no risk, no reward, right? Speaking of risk and reward, the story of Bitcoin's price itself is a wild ride.
Oh, tell me about it.
It went from practically worthless to rivaling the market cap of massive companies. We actually have an article with a chart that shows Bitcoin's price history. It's amazing to see. And get this, the chart even shows that those price cycles are getting shorter and shorter over time.
Interesting.
I know, which brings us to that age-old question, will Bitcoin go back up? And if so, how high? I bet you've heard that one a few times.
Just a few.
No one has a crystal ball, of course, but understanding those historical trends, especially the whole shorter cycles thing, can give us some clues. Plus, there's the fact that Bitcoin has a limited supply. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin in existence.
Right.
So as more are mined, the remaining supply shrinks, and that could drive the price way up in the future. Just like Economics 101 teaches us, supply and demand.
Classic.
All right, I think it's time to get to what everyone's been waiting for. Those juicy future price predictions.
Now we're talking.
We've got some predictions from some pretty big names. Some are super optimistic, and others are a bit more, well, let's just say they like to keep their feet on the ground.
It's always good to see the full picture, right?
Exactly. So on the optimistic side of things, we've got Kathy Wood from ARK Invest. She's known for making some pretty bold predictions. She actually thinks Bitcoin could hit, wait for it, $1 million per coin.
$1 million.
Yeah, by 2030. She argues that Bitcoin's scarcity, its unique properties as a store of value, and the fact that more and more people are using it. She thinks all that will drive huge growth.
Wow, that's quite the prediction. But what about the more cautious folks? What kind of numbers are they throwing around? Well, for example, we have digital coin price and wallet investor. They're a bit more conservative, but still see Bitcoin going up in value. They just don't foresee those massive explosions in price that some people are predicting. They point to things like regulatory uncertainty as a potential roadblock to widespread adoption.
Ah, yeah, the whole regulations thing. It feels like governments around the world are still trying to figure out what to do with cryptocurrencies.
Right, and all that uncertainty can definitely make investors a little nervous.
That's true. Things like anti-money laundering laws or AML and Know Your Customer regulations, KYC, they're all adding to that uncertainty in the market. It's something to keep in mind when you're weighing all those predictions, that's for sure.
It really is amazing how these regulations are starting to shape things, you know?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It feels like we're entering a whole new chapter in the Bitcoin story. But, maybe we should take a step back for a second and kind of recap what we've talked about so far.
Good idea. I think it's always good to make sure we're all on the same page.
Right. So we've covered Bitcoin being decentralized, how it can kind of influence the whole crypto market and all those different factors that can impact its price.
Yeah, it seems like everything from global pandemics to, well,
Elon Musk tweeting about Dogecoin.
Exactly.
Oh, and you can't forget about the whole FOMO thing, the hype, that feeling that you might miss out on getting rich. It's pretty powerful stuff.
It is. And those Bitcoin ETFs have definitely made it easier for people to jump in.
Yeah, which is great, but it's also created the potential for those price bubbles,
Right? Those can burst pretty dramatically, too.
Exactly. We've also talked about those price predictions, like Cathie Wood and her crazy prediction of Bitcoin hitting $1 million by 2030.
I still can't get over that one.
I know, right?
Ah.
But we also heard from the more cautious folks who see steady growth happening, but not necessarily those insane gains.
Yeah, they're definitely more grounded in reality.
True. I guess it all just shows that no one knows for sure what's going to happen.
Yeah.
There's a whole range of possibilities out there.
Exactly. And we need to remember it's not just about Bitcoin in isolation either.
Oh, that's right. Everything's connected.
Yeah. Like if Bitcoin's price were to take a major nosedive, well, that could create a domino effect and impact the whole crypto market.
So basically, what does all this mean for someone like me? Someone who's totally fascinated by Bitcoin and its potential, but also wants to, be smart about it all.
Well, I think the most important thing is that you've armed yourself with knowledge.
That's true. I do feel a lot more knowledgeable now. Yeah, that's definitely key. So it's not just about, reading the headlines and hoping for the best.
Not at all. It's about making those well-informed decisions. You need to do your research, be aware of the risks involved, and then decide for yourself whether Bitcoin fits into your own personal investment strategy. And if so, how?
That makes a lot of sense. It's easy to get caught up in all the excitement, but taking that step back and really thinking it through is crucial.
This whole world of cryptocurrency is always changing, so staying curious and continuing to learn is absolutely essential.
It's funny. We started off talking about the future price of Bitcoin, and now it seems like the biggest takeaway is the importance of research and just being open to learning new things.
Well, that's what makes it all so exciting, right? The price of Bitcoin is just one small part of the bigger picture. If you really want to understand it all, you have to go deeper, learn about the technology itself, the potential impact it could have, the risks involved. That's where the real value is.
That's a great point. So for everyone out there thinking about Bitcoin and how it might fit into their financial journey, remember to approach it with a critical eye, that sense of adventure, and maybe a healthy dose of caution, too.
And don't be afraid to ask questions. You should always challenge assumptions and really think critically about what you're hearing and reading.
That's how we all learn and grow, right?
Exactly.
Speaking of challenging assumptions, there's this one prediction that really caught my attention. And it's not about the price of Bitcoin itself.
Oh, this sounds intriguing.
It's this idea that the U.S. government might start buying Bitcoin. And get this, they'd be using money from their gold reserves.
Wow. Now that's a bold prediction. It almost sounds like something out of a movie.
I know. It's crazy, right? But it would be a huge deal. Imagine the U.S. diversifying its strategic reserves to include Bitcoin.
Oh, it would send a powerful message. It would almost be like saying, hey, Bitcoin is a legitimate store of value, right alongside gold.
Totally. But is that something that could really happen? I mean, it sounds kind of far-fetched, doesn't it?
Well, you have to remember that this is all still pretty speculative at this point. It's based on some reports and statements we've seen, but no one really knows what the actual legal framework would look like or how it would actually be put into practice. But still, just the fact that it's being talked about at such a high level is pretty significant.
That's true. It's like even those traditional financial folks are starting to take Bitcoin seriously.
Yeah.
And speaking of the U.S. and its potential impact on crypto, remember what happened last time when,
Well, you know.
yeah, I think we all remember.
The number went kind of crazy when Donald Trump won, partly because of his stance on crypto. He was pretty pro-Bitcoin, right? So do you think we might see something similar happen?
But then again, with crypto, who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. So much uncertainty, but also so much potential. You know what? After all this, I feel a lot more prepared to navigate this whole Bitcoin world. I have to admit, I came into this mainly wanting to know about the future price of Bitcoin, but we've gone so much deeper than that.
That's the best part, isn't it? We got to hear those super optimistic arguments and the more cautious ones. We've explored all these incredible possibilities and talked about some potential pitfalls, too.
It's amazing. I feel like I've learned so much, not just about Bitcoin, but about the whole world of crypto. The technology, the things that drive it, the challenges it faces, and just the amazing potential it has.
That's what it's all about. And remember, this is just the start of your journey. Cryptocurrency is always evolving, so keep that curiosity alive, keep learning.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us.